Welcome to another session of flinderTalks with myself, Alistair, and my business partner, Luke. Today, we're going to talk about 5 hacks to focus on your cash flow, aren't we, Luke?
Yeah, looking forward to this one, really important.
So at the moment, cash is it's always been king, and no more important than it is right now, with a lot of businesses really struggling, a lot of debt going into the economy, and a lot of businesses really focusing on their cash flow. But actually, it's no different for us as accounting firms as well. And sometimes I think accountants can have this concept of the plumber's leaky tap, and they're focusing so much on their clients' businesses and helping them with cash flow, they don't focus on their own. So today we want to bring some of that back in-house and just really focus on what do we do as an accounting firm and as a business to focus on cash flow. So we've got 5 hacks that we want to share with you in terms of what we do at Flinder, and we're going to take you through each one of those. So first up, Luke, we're going to talk about get a service in place like Go Cardless. Get a direct debit mandate in so you're not chasing the debt. Maybe as kind of head of delivery, you want to pick up on that and just kind of explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's vital. It's the automation side of it, and the admin time it saves as well. So I'd say kind of the time of messing around with actually asking someone to make the payment, having that kind of reassurance of that money's going to come in at the beginning of the month, every month. It just gives you that visibility and certainty, rather than relying on a client who might be, all intents and purposes, they'll pay at the beginning of the month, but they might forget, it gets 2-3 days late. You just then have the uncertainty what money has or hasn't come in. It keeps it very nice and clean, and it's great for your cash flow that the money you're getting up front is money you're utilising and spending during the month.
And that's a really key and important point, as kind of when we set up Flinder from a blank canvas. And what we did, we have a positive working cash cycle in that we collect cash on day 1 of the month, or eventually it gets into our account a few days later after the direct debit mandates go through. But actually we pay out funds through that month and salaries at the end of the month. So we've got that positive working capital cycle throughout the month to fuel ourselves and fuel the growth, which is really important, I think. And I think, the traditional firm, too many people chase cash, chase it after, have debtor days, have work in progress building up, and that's really what stifles them from a kind of, a growth perspective, I think. So that's the first one. Use a service like Go Cardless. Take the cash at the beginning of the month to fund yourselves as best as possible and practice what you preach to your clients. So the second one, Luke, over to you.
Yeah, so the second one is around engaging with clients and only working with them on a direct debit basis. So it follows on from the first point, but not being afraid to stand up to that as well and say, we will engage with you, you will sign up to a direct debit, and that is the basis we work on. And then also having a hard and fast approach to it as well. If someone doesn't then pay you or they cancel their direct debit, their services get put on hold, and you don't deliver the work that you're being paid for during that month. And we're a service. Why think of it any different to a product as well? I always say, you don't go to Curry, or you can get credit, but you pay for that credit. But typically you go to Curry's, you want to buy a new TV, you pay for the TV, you take the TV away. So why should the service be any different? We're providing an ongoing service every day. We're working with that client. I guess perhaps from a traditional point of view, an accountant might have been seen as they do a one-off task, and therefore you raise a one-off invoice and it gets paid in 30, 60 days time. And it's flipping that model kind of completely on its head.
Exactly, and that's actually a really important point. It's about flipping the model and becoming a bit more up to date with the way in which you engage and kind of have as a subscription business with your clients. If you cancel a Sky subscription, guess what happens? You don't get Sky, right? I mean, so it's no different really for us as an accounting firm. But that's something that is very key, and we live by that mantra of if you cancel your subscription, we will put your services on pause, because actually, why are we doing something for free? That's just kind of, it's about education with businesses and your clients, I think, as well, and setting up that from day one is kind of, that's the way in which we work. So that's what they need to kind of get used to doing. So that's number 2. It's engaging and signing up with kind of the mandate on day 1, and kind of stopping if they pause on that Go Cardless, certainly for us. The third one, not every firm and equally us, not all of our revenue comes from subscription work or recurring work. Some of it comes from one-off work, right? And there'll be a lot of firms whereby they do one-off pieces of work, and they won't necessarily have this recurring subscription style business. That's quite typical of a lot of accountants. And this our third kind of hack to focus on cash flow is really around what do you do when you are working with one-off pieces of work? How do you get that cash in to fund your business in a good working capital perspective, and also de-risk having bad debts or very slow paying debts at the end of it? So look, what do we do here at Flinder in terms of working with businesses when we do that one-off work, which probably accounts for about 15% of our revenue?
Yeah, so it's absolutely on this. It's a similar approach to what we take with the recurring, that we want to be paid for the work that we're going to be delivering. On a bigger project, that could be a lot of money for a business in terms of a cash flow perspective. So it's looking at it from two approaches. If it's an existing, a recurring client, you've got that trusted relationship with already, billing them 50% upfront and then paying for 50% of the work at the commencement, and then on a substantial completion of the work, i.e. when you've done 80-90% of your work, then billing them for the final 50%. Keeps the kind of the cash flow coming for us, and it's kind of pretty fair. Well, it is absolutely fair with the clients as well. We take the approach of clients that we don't have a relationship and a new business to us, of often billing 100% upfront and asking for payment in advance. We obviously do our standard AML checks and soft checks on businesses, but actually it also then negates some of the need for looking at creditworthiness of clients, because you're removing that need. And some businesses won't, one, have good credit checks on clients that they work with, and secondly, they then invoice them on 60-day terms or 30-day terms. They don't have the relationship. How do they know that they're good for the money? So it just removes that risk from us as well, for someone that we just don't have a existing relationship with.
And you picked up on a very good point about credit control there, and the need for credit control in advance when you're working with them, which I think flows nicely into our fourth hack, which is around having a proper policy in place. What you do internally around credit collection or credit control, credit management, and also someone that actually owns that, whomever it is in the business, whether you've got a separate person looking after it, or in our case, actually, between you and I, we're kind of all over AR and what that looks like.
Yeah.
So having a proper policy, like we've just described around some of those, getting paid up front, an owner in place, someone to look at it regularly. How often is it looked at? Is it looked at weekly? Is it looked at monthly? With kind of, real-time or effective real or near real-time data, you can look at your accounts receivable at a much more frequent time, so you can see kind of what's going on there, see if someone's gone overdue, if you're still not kind of, getting your one-off work paid up front, or even maybe using something like Chaser as a product to chase your debts if it gets to that point and you have a lot of kind of amount of debt sitting in your AR. But personally, we don't use that in our business. We don't have the need for it, but we still keep a really keen eye on kind of what our debt book looks like for those one-off pieces, and who needs to be paying, when they need to be paying for the kind of the remaining 50%. So having a proper policy and owner of that of credit management in place is fundamental in our fourth hack. And then look, finally, one of our favorite ones, the kind of the fifth hack here, is when you're focusing on cash flow and managing your cash flow and your working capital, it's about forecasting your cash flow. And there's a lot of talk at the moment in the marketplace, accountants supporting from an advisory perspective on their clients and helping them with C-bills and bounce back loans and helping them manage their cash. But actually, don't forget yourself, and it's about doing a forecast for your own business, as well as selling yourselves to your clients and helping them with their forecast. Personally, within Flinder, we do a 90-day forecast and a 12-month rolling forecast, and marry the two up and see what they look like. So a much shorter cash position, like the here and the now, and then a much more strategic 12-month view on what the business will look like 12 months from now, and what those cash positions will look like. We do that because we're growing quite aggressively, and we want to manage that as best as possible. But really fundamental, isn't it, Luke, to get your cash flow forecast and manage that?
I'd say there's two key things that you have to consider here. Is one, doing what's right and not overcomplicating it. So the 90-day forecast it's maybe a couple of hour exercise like between us that we spend time on. We actually in the position of, if we haven't had invoices from suppliers that we know we should have, we're chasing them. We want our books to be closed by working day 1, working day 2, that type of approach. And so actually arrangements with your suppliers as well, get them to bring the invoicing date forward to help us with our close process, which means we can do this 90-day forecast. But don't spend 2 days, 2 weeks on it, etc., because it's then out of use. It's not timely. And then the same with the 12-month. It's not the 12 months not looking to give us the exact money we're going to be on in month 1, month 2, all the way through to month 12. It's to give us the headlines. It's to give us the idea of the number of clients we need to be bringing in to meet our growth plans, what our staff count needs to be at those different points in times. So again, it's not going to that nth level of detail that's needed.
It's absolute directional, and as you say, for us, it's very much people. Like, who can we hire? When do we need to hire them to satisfy that growth? And where are the pinch points, or where could the pinch points be? Like, how fast can we bring on people? So it's really fundamental. And as you alluded to, like, I think closing the books is, and we're big advocates of this, closing the books as quickly as possible within 24, 48 hours after the end of the month. Then you can make informed decisions, understand what your cash position is really quickly. Like at Flinder, within 1 to 2 days, depending on where the month lands, we know exactly what our previous month, what the month just gone looks like, and we'll have a 90-day and a 12-month forecast already to talk in our executive team meeting as well, won't we?
Absolutely, yeah, it's critical.
Yeah, so I guess, to recap, the 5 hacks we have on, that we place a huge emphasis on to focus on cash flow are: 1, get paid automatically, something like Go Cardless in place from the first of the month, get your clients into that routine and get the cash at the beginning of the month to have a positive working capital cycle. 2, only actually engage if you've got this in place, and only engage as it's being signed. Don't engage and then try and do it after the fact, because it's going to be much more of a struggle. 3, get paid up front for any one-off work, or at least 50% up front and 50% on substantial completion. 4, have a credit management policy in place. Who's chasing, who's doing what, who has ownership of it. So that's really important, is the ownership side of thing. And 5, stay on top of your forecasts and look at what the next 90 days looks like, and look at what the next 12 months looks like, so you can understand your cash profile for that period. So there are 5 hacks to focus on your cash flow. Luke, anything to add on to the end of that?
No, I think really distinct it just comes exactly down to those 5 points.
Wonderful. Thanks, Luke. We'll be back for the next Flinder Talks. In the meantime, hit subscribe, hit like, and we'll see you guys soon.
Cheers, guys. Bye.